As strange as it sounds, some anime and manga characters were inspired and based on real people. Rock Lee was based on Bruce Lee. Asimov and Katerina from Cowboy Bebop were based on Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, and countless One Piece characters were based on real people. Now, was Götz, the main character of Berserk, based on a real person? This question may seem absurd, and I doubt many fans have wondered about this. After all, Götz is notoriously one of the most tragic characters in manga, and while certain parts of his character are indeed relatable, as a whole, his complexity does seem extremely detached from the real world. But this is when it gets weird. In the early 2000s, some Japanese Berserk fans noticed a strange connection, that there was a legendary knight from the Middle Ages who had multiple key similarities to the Black Swordsman, to the point that some of these fans began to suspect that this knight was in fact the inspiration to Götz. This rumor got so big that Kentaro Miura himself addressed it in an interview. Gottfried, or commonly called Götz von Berlichingen, was born to a wealthy family in 1480 in the former German state of Württemberg. Götz was drafted into the army of Brandenburg-Ansbach right before his 17th birthday and fought on the side of the Holy Roman Empire. He fought here for 2 years, participating in multiple battles of the Swabian War. After turning 20, Götz withdrew and retired from the Holy Roman Empire and created his own mercenary army, which he promptly rented out to the Duke of Bavaria. 4 years later, in 1504, while leading a siege in the southeast German town of Landshut, Götz was struck by a cannonball launched by the opposing side. There are conflicting accounts regarding the details of what happened next. One source says that the ball hit Götz's sword, unwillingly causing him to accidentally cut off his own right arm, while another source says that the cannonball itself directly hit his arm. Either way, his right hand was gone after the battle. This had a very big mental impact on the 24-year-old Götz. Fighting was what he had dedicated his life to, and for him to be deemed incapable of leading his army was a stab to his pride. However, while still recovering from his injury, Götz witnessed a one-armed servant fighting on the battlefield. This sight lit a fire within him and revamped his willpower and self-confidence to fight again. He searched for a new way to fight, and after about 7 months of being away from battle, Götz ended up sporting a right hand made of iron, which was specifically designed for him. This first hand was very basic and simple. It contained 2 hinges at the top of the palm, and had 4 fingers, which enabled him to grip lighter objects. There was even some visual detail on it, including fingernails and wrinkles. After a few years, Götz upgraded to a superior model. It was equipped with joints and grooves at each of the knuckles and within the palm. The fingers were also able to come to a strong close, enabling him to grip a sword, quill, or the reins of his horse. It also included a spring-loaded mechanism, which locked his finger into place. The second hand is on display to this day in a castle museum in Götz's native. He began to be called Götz of the Iron Hand. Continuing his fighting career, Götz participated in multiple conflicts, ranging from smaller feuds to much larger wars. While he wasn't in a war, he would regularly kidnap wealthy merchants on the road and hold them for ransom. This led him to be held in high regard by the peasants and lower class people, even gaining reputation as a Robin Hood who protected the peasants and fought against the higher authorities. He was active in numerous campaigns and racked up multiple achievements. In 1525, he was thrown into the rebel army during the German Peasants' War. Despite not being one of the original members, Götz led the army of tens of thousands of men to fight against the princes of the Holy Roman Empire. This further fueled his reputation as Robin Hood figure towards the peasants. He never fully retired and continued to participate in a string of notable battles until his adventurous life came to an end when he passed away in 1562, at the ripe old age of 82. Over his life, he was either imprisoned or captured by authorities a total of 4 times, Considering the turbulent lifestyle he lived, it is very impressive he lived this long. Before he died, Götz left a manuscript of his autobiography. His legacy and presence was immortalized and cemented into history when in 1773, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote the play Götz von Berlichingen. It was a play based on Götz's life and depicted his wild adventures as the people's hero, as a protagonist who unfailingly fought for the poor and disenfranchised, as someone who contained a ferocious yet sensitive soul. Götz is not only remembered for his fighting or his iron hand, but also his mouth. He is the person to popularize the term, kiss my ass. Reportedly in 1516, while in a feud with the city of Mainz, Götz burned down a few buildings in order to lure out the local bailiff. When the bailiff finally showed up, Götz yelled up to him on the castle ramparts, that is, he should lick me behind, or kiss my ass, and bravely rode off for parts unknown. Goethe incorporated this into his play as well. In the third act of the 5-act drama, while Götz is being besieged in his castle by the imperial forces, a messenger demands his surrender, and the hero calls down from his window, "Tell him to kiss my ass," and slams the window shut. In Germany, a number of movies, books, and even toys have been based on him. Without a shadow of a doubt, Götz left a great legacy as a legendary knight. But back to the question addressed at the start of the video, was Götz based off of him? There are a number of parallels between the two figures. They were both mercenaries. They both fought under different banners throughout their lives. They both had prosthetic iron hands, and their names Götz and Guts even sound extremely similar. So was Götz actually based off of this legendary knight? Actually, no. In an interview included in the 4th volume of the US Berserk DVD by Media Blasters in 2002, Kentaro Miura himself addressed this rumor.
っていうのはないんですよ。
それは歴史上の人物でも特にない。
特にこれは不思議な偶然なんですけど、ドイツに、農民革命かなんかを、の時代に、騎士でその革命に参加した騎士でゲッツっていう人がいるんですね。でその人は片腕鉄の義手だったっていう話なんですよ。だから不思議な偶然もあるもんだなぁと、シンクロニシティかなんだか分かりませんけど、なんかそんなことを作品書いてる途中に聞いたんですけどね。ただ別に作為的にそうしたわけじゃないんですが、キャラクターの。
Throughout his career, Miura has been relatively open about his inspirations. He has said in previous interviews that the story of Berserk and Götz was inspired by a collection of different characters, such as Gwen from Gwen Saga, Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, and Jack from Violence Jack. Even though it may just be a coincidence, the parallels between Götz and Götz von Berlichingen are certainly interesting.